Hey guys, it's Chris, and welcome to Toned and Toneful, the self-actualization video podcast, episode number 48. Before there was AI, there was creativity. So in this week's episode, guys, I'm really excited to share something that has been taking the world by storm. AI. Everyone's worried about it. Everyone's happy about it. There seems to be so many mixed feelings on the future of human existence based on these algorithms, based on computers learning what humans have and expediting the process of work and expediting the process of everything that we do in our daily lives. But I wanted to take a look at how this affects us as musicians and how it affects us as artists and what we can do to combat that. One of the things that came to mind to me was a long time ago, I had been reading a magazine, and there was an interview with Pantera's guitar player, Dimebag Darrell. And one of the interesting things that he had said within that interview was that no matter the guitar player that he met, he would always try to learn something from them or find something good about their playing. In this way, that opens up a form of creativity that I think many of us lack or sometimes don't know that we're not taking in. In this age of comparison, whether it's we're looking at social media or we're looking at other people's pages, it's easy for us to find that we're doing better than someone in this way, or we're doing worse than someone in this way. But maybe that's not how we should be thinking of that particular, what we're seeing from these people, that we're doing better or that we're doing worse. Maybe something that we should be putting our mindset into is, what are we learning from them? And this is where we can start to actually have a lot more forward movement in our creativity and start to realize that maybe AI has an edge on having an abundant amount of information, but AI can't beat the human experience folded into creativity. It just can't. That's what makes us special. So before I really get into this episode, one of the things that I wanted to talk over real quick was Tone and Toneful is slowly going to be bringing in the mentality, the spirituality, and the physicality as separate sections. And they won't be filmed separately, but they'll be organized in such a way that when I break up the episodes, you can take a lot from them. Toned and Toneful is meant to be a place where we can learn from each other's experiences, my experiences, and have a discussion on things that are happening for us as artists so that we can become a better artist within our own niche and also take a look at the mindsets of other artists and maybe be able to bring that in. Now, one of the things that when I first talk about mentality today, this is the mentality of creativity, is it's not going to be all encompassing, but I'm going to be speaking on that very pointed focus thing that I was talking about with Dimebag Darrell. His mindset of finding something good in every musician that he met or guitar player that he met, despite his own skill level, is something that I think many of us lack. With the abundancy of genres in today's music, whether you take a look at metal and realize the hundreds of subgenres of metal, you look at jazz and see the tons of subgenres of jazz, it doesn't matter what kind of music you look at. There's so much that really none of us can cover everything to any level that would be meaningful. So we carve ourselves into a niche and we work on being good at what we're good at, and we look at those around us who might play a similar type of music, or we look at those around us who might be considered competition, and we are looking to either beat these other musicians and artists, or we're trying to join them. Maybe there's something more. Maybe if we took our mentality to a place where we could see that every artist has something to offer that they're bringing that's good, we can actually bring that into our wheelhouse without having to lose our niche. There are so many musicians outside my genre that I see that when I watch them play, there's an authenticity that I look for. And when I find that authenticity in something that they do, I'm able to latch onto that and make that a focusing point for why I love their music so much. For example, Bjork. She is a singing artist who uses a lot of different versions, whether it's electronic or instrumentation, to get sounds. She doesn't believe in traditional instruments the same way that I do. It's the same way that I think of practicing scales learning your modes, then harmonizing and learning that on a guitar or piano in maybe a traditional sense. She looks for the sounds that will be created that she can use for her music in such a way that she can create a soundscape, maybe not using one real instrument at all in a song, ringing telephones, sampling these types of things. And that has deeply affected me because there are certain sounds now within my music that I actually look to make my guitar sound outside the guitar. I might not always look at the inspiration the same way she does, where I'm trying to find things that are maybe non-instrumental or maybe finding everyday items to become instruments. I might not be at that place myself yet. But one thing that I do notice is I really try to take the instruments that I have, whether it's guitar or the bass, and maybe get sounds out of them that are not traditional. And I felt so much more empowered in that way to create art that is unique and that is uplifting to me because it pushes my creative process. And in that way, I am kind of my own AI. I am able to splice the idea of what I have and mix it with something else. Just like when you ask the chat to create something for you, I'm doing that within my own self. And just like Dimebag Darrell said, as he looks into different people to find different things, if you listen to a lot of music that he created, there was a lot of elements of other players and there was a lot of elements of other things within the music that you realize he was able to take in and utilize for his own musical growth and expression. There are other artists that I look up to a lot, someone like Yvette Young as well, and she is able to take things that are non-instruments or samples, and she is able to create layers that become music. And she is very much just as much of a traditional musician as someone who's learning how to sample and meld those things together. This is why we can never say that AI will take us out of a job, or we can say that like, oh, well, AI, soon I won't have anything to do because now they can just come up with these songs instantly. And while that may be true, there can be a song made instantly. AI has one thing that is lacking that we have as humans. We can feel. And that feeling that is within us, if we encompass that in our creativity and our mindset, I believe that we're still coming up with things that are completely unique, new, and they are pushing boundaries as far as what we're looking for in not only just music, but even guitar and instrumentation itself as artists. When we start to get that creativity in our mindset, one of the things that you start to realize is that you have to physically do things a little bit different. Remember that you have 2 ears, 2 hands, 2 eyes, 2 feet, and you only got 1 mouth. And while in Toned and Toneful, I'm talking a lot. Outside of Toned and Toneful, I'm actually quite a quiet person because a lot of times I'm observing and I'm looking around for things that could enhance my life or tell me things about life. Just like the episode in Toned and Toneful where we said that everything in life is a teacher. That is true always. You have 2 hands to take 2 times as much action. You have 2 ears to listen 2 times as much. And you have 2 feet to take you to 2 times as many places so that you can build your storytelling and your authenticity in your art. Your mindset will grow so fast when we're using our senses to bring those things in. What you see in, what you hear in. And maybe you'll become one of those artists who will have a knack for hearing something that is a physical sound that exists outside music. And you'll turn that into something musical. You'll be truly creative and not locked in by a genre, not locked in by an expectation of what's traditional on guitar. Every guitar solo doesn't have to start with a note being bent as a vibrato. Every guitar solo doesn't need to come in with like a line that's a little bit of a flex. There is so much more to creating music over just these stereotypes and these fundamentals that have been created through repetition in what we hear. That doesn't mean they don't sound good. That's why those things are utilized a lot of times. But if we can train our physical body to be like the creativity of our mind and not be stuck in muscle memory mode, so to speak, and we can learn to listen for new things. We can learn to watch what's going on around us and see what's different rather than looking for the same things that we consistently look for. We will start to physically embody that creativity. Remember, like episode 42 of the Toned and Toneful series, you are the instrument. The original creativity tool is our body. And that is another thing that AI right now does not have in the same way that we do. There might be robots and they might actually be able to complete tasks like do dishes and sense certain things and do certain things, but they are not like you. They do not have a story that you have a certain lens that the way that you view the world, and that helps you see things in a way that's different than anybody. That's something that we all have. No one has our direct story where they can look at the world the way that we do and be able to maintain that frame. So you should be extremely grateful within yourself that you can be that you have that in your life, that not only is your mental creativity a point, but your physical body is also part of your storytelling. It is a physical representation of a lot of the things that you've felt or you've learned, and it reacts to what you have in your mind. So when you're learning and you're watching, using your hands to do new things on the instrument, I've been writing a new song where I'm utilizing multiple sounds that I've never used before, but the whole thing that I was working on wasn't chasing a scale and it wasn't chasing what is traditional. I chased something that sounded unique to me and I wanted a new sound. Now, maybe that sound will mean nothing to some people. Maybe some people will say, hey, it sounds like this. But in my world, from my lens, from my view, this is going to be something completely new, and I'm really proud of that. When you are, looking at these two things, how our mind and our body work together, you also want to have that spiritual authenticity as well. And that is another thing that comes into play that AI doesn't have the same way that we have as humans, is spirituality. And so when we combine our beliefs and we combine what is truly beautiful to us and what we want to show in the world, and the element of our spiritual giving is a feeling. And everyone has a different one. I know friends, again, I've mentioned this in previous episodes, who are truth tellers. And that brings a certain comfort in the sense that they won't lie to you. But it also brings a certain, maybe certain segments of time that are uncomfortable because they're going to tell you something that you might have to take in and bring in a way that's different to you. So you want to, of course, push this forward, because when you want the world to be a beautiful place and you combine that with your natural mentality towards learning and your natural mentality towards what you take in, and you bring that and you intermix that with your physical body, you now have a trifecta. That's something that AI does not have. And that level of creativity, I personally feel, was more present in music before than it is now as much. There are certain artists who are still really bringing that to the front, and they're far and few between. But let's make a challenge for ourselves. Let's be the people, and let's be the group of individuals as artists and musicians that can take these mindsets and put out art that not only represents the daily mood or something that people can relate to, but if we can take it past that point and not worry about the results and be in the process of what creativity is, to be able to mentally say, hey, I saw something and I learned from that. And in that learning, I took that and I had my physical body interact with that. And as I interacted with that, I noticed that internally my beliefs and the things I feel also intermixed with that. And when you can have all those things in one piece together, you end up in a very special place that now can become the best music, that now can become something that is beyond just a quick creation to say it's a song. It has these layers, it has this part, and then this part, and this part, because they're not just parts. They are storytelling. They are part of what you've come to understand, and they are now part of a human history. They're part of a human history. And that doesn't make it perfect, but that makes it something that is all-encompassing. is fulfilling. And for us as musicians and artists, I really like to believe that that's what we're aiming for. Because before there was AI, before everyone worried about like, oh, it'll just write a song better than me, it's a better player. What do you mean it's a better player? Do you mean that the notes are succinctly more clean? Do you mean that the rhythms have no mistakes? That's awesome. Accuracy is great. Being more technical is awesome. But can it really actually beat your storytelling? Can it actually really beat your individual expression of who you are and how you do things? I don't think so. And if you want to let yourself live in a world where you believe that these things can be overshadowed by a computer, you're kind of missing the point of why you're so special as an artist. One of the things that was really special to me during Breathe the Life, kind of tying this up together all in one thing, was the art that I got done was by an artist named Jan Matthews, and she's incredible. She does a lot of art with like an alcohol-based ink art that looks incredible. And that intermixed with my particular piece of music and my style and my belief turned into something that was more than a song. I found more people who came to me and said that this song affected them in such a way and that it is on their regular playing list. And it is something that is in their mind. It is a part of their daily journey. My biggest dream as an artist was always to walk off stage and give someone a hug who really needed a hug, who said, hey, your song said this to me. Or to be around somebody and said, hey, it's crazy. I have this guitar because of you. And it's not because of me. It's because of that feeling that could be given to them through story, through a song, through that package that is given that's holistic, that they can hold. And they go, I want to do this too. I want to be a part of something that exists like this. So when we take the moment to be really thoughtful about what we're doing and being creative, before there was AI, remember there were creative people. This whole world was built by creative people who didn't rely on a computer to tell them what to think or what to do. And every one of those people was inspired by something mentally, physically, and spiritually. These people worked their hardest. These people had a mentality that would not give up. And they also had something that kept their faith in the mission, whether that was a religion, whether that's God, whether that's the universe, whether it's the beauty of love. It doesn't matter what your reason that you hold on to something is, but please hold on to it dearly. So let's take a look at this whole thing as a recap for Toned and Toneful episode 48. First off, remember that mentally, we want to be able to learn something from everything. When we are in a constant state of learning, no matter what it is, the smallest conversation, the smallest interaction, a bird flying from here to there, why do they do it? Why is it that way? A bug crawling over here to here, and you go, why is it like that? Why is it that way? And to take that into the second step and physically understand that. Is that in your movement? Is that in your listening? Is that in what you're seeing? Is that in what you're feeling? You take those things and you mesh them with your mental creativity so that there is now a bridge between the body and what you do to create instrumentation and art, or to create art with a tool. And art could even be dancing with just the body, the movement and everything. And then we bring that in and we mesh it now, those two elements of mentality and physicality, we want to bring in that spiritual level. And in that notion, when we are spiritual, we have something that guides us through the process when we don't understand, something that guides us through the process when we are still looking to finish and make a holistic thing. There will be points where your mentality and your physicality are not enough to finish something. And what we hold on to as value, whether that again is the power of love, whether that is your religion, whether that is your belief in something, whether that is your desire to finish something. It doesn't matter what you're holding on to, but take that thing and let that be your North Star so you can finish projects, so you can say, hey, before AI, there was creativity. What I am offering is different than anything that someone else has to offer. Then you're in the right place. As an artist, that's where we belong, in that vulnerable spot, to understand that what we offer is something special for the world in storytelling, something special for the world in giving, and something that can create a offering to human history. So I hope you guys take a moment to think after this episode about how you're better than AI. And while AI might be able to research and write a paper in 30 seconds, that paper doesn't hold the weight that it did for you to do it. Don't take those experiences away from yourself. Don't take those experiences away from working with others and creating naturally, holistically, because that is part of the human experience. And the basis of all human experience is storytelling. You can go back to the Egyptian pyramids, and there's all these little drawings, there's all these little things tinked in the wall and the rock. And they chiseled that in because they wanted to tell you something. It was a human story. You can look at multiple religions and look at their Bibles and look at the Quran. You can look at all sorts of things. And what's within it? Stories. The human existence is pushed forward by stories. Yeah, Greece, Rome. You listen to the stories of Jimi Hendrix by listening to his songs. You listen to the stories of Led Zeppelin by hearing their songs. You are getting a view into the mindset of somebody by reading their book. An autobiography, a story, a fiction novel even is about giving you that holistic sense of something that someone created in their mind and wanted to make it a reality. So you guys, again, as always, it's been very special to get to spend some time with you. I appreciate it if you made it to this point in the video. If you did, put a 1 in the comments. I'd love to see it. I'd like to see who's watching these whole episodes. I want to reward you. If I see some people who are watching the whole episodes, I want to start getting something special for you guys. But above all things and above all else, I really hope you guys are putting yourself first, your creativity first, and not letting fear and not letting a new dynamic that's added into our world control your creativity and control the way that you express yourself. So I want to thank you again. This is episode 48. Before there was AI, there was creativity. And above all else, stay toned and toneful.